Hello, I'm Sarah Edens, a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher. I'm here to help you unlock your inner millionaire by developing a wealth mindset and laying a solid financial foundation for yourself. If this interests you, then please come subscribe to my channel and remember to hit the notification bell so that you get updates when I upload new videos, which is every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. You can also join me on Instagram Live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have a live stream called Ask a Finance Coach Anything, and you can ask me all your money questions. And so I will put a link in the description box to that as well. And I'd love to see you there on Wednesdays at 11 for that live stream. And the replay will be posted here to YouTube and also to my Instagram if you missed it. So today's video is about 3 ways that you can start saving for your first home. So maybe you're in a situation where you've been wanting to buy a home for a while and you just haven't started yet and you're not sure where to start. And so this is an exciting time, and I've got 3 tips for you that will make that process easier. So the first tip is to really look at your financial situation, and that starts with looking at your credit score, your partner's credit score if you're planning to purchase a home together, because that gets counted in as well if you're both going to be on the mortgage. And so have a look at that credit score and see if there are things that you can do to improve your credit score. And I will do a whole nother video on that as well, because that's another conversation for another day. But if your credit score isn't quite as great as you'd like it to be, then that is something that's super easy to fix, and you can start doing some research online about ways to improve your credit score. You can also look at your debt, how much debt you're carrying currently. So maybe you've got a couple of car loans, maybe you've got student loans and some other loans perhaps, and have a look and see, even well before you start saving for your home, perhaps it would help you out financially if you could pay some of your car loans off, for example, especially if they're at high interest rates. And that way you're not in a situation once you get your mortgage where you're carrying perhaps credit card debt, maybe you're carrying student loans, maybe you're carrying a bunch of car loans, and then you've got to layer your mortgage payments on top of that, because our mortgage payments are typically our biggest bill out of our incomes every single month. And so you don't necessarily want to have too many different layers of debt stacked on each other. And so that's always a good place to start as well, is look and see where you can eliminate some debt, get some things paid off, and kind of clear the decks for your mortgage. The second tip for you when you're saving for your first home is to set a budget for your home buying. And this is super important, and most financial advisors will recommend that you budget out about 2.5 to 3 times your annual take-home pay. So that's going to be yours and whoever else is going to be on the mortgage with you. So everybody's, if it's just yourself, it's going to be your annual take-home pay. If it's yourself and your partner, both of yours together, and then multiply that by, by 2.5 to 3 times, and that's going to give you your budget that you're shopping with. And then once you have done that, what you want to do is, what I recommend that you do is go to a real estate listing site like Zillow.com, which I'll put a link to in the description below, and start looking in that price range and see what kind of home that is going to buy you, because that can be a bit of a shock these days with how much home prices have gone up. And you may be very happy with the results, you may be very disappointed with the results, but it's very good before you really go any further to get a realistic assessment of how far your money's going to go in the city that you're looking at buying in. And so have a look, you can set on Zillow, you can set all kinds of different ranges of how much home you're shopping for and which zip codes and so forth. So it's a great tool. But go look and see what kind of home you can afford in that area, and then that's going to give you a really good feel for kind of where you are, because if the homes that you are shopping for that you'd ideally like to live in are far, far, far out of your price range, then perhaps this isn't the time to buy and you might be better off renting. And it's really fascinating because I follow a number of interesting financial professionals on LinkedIn, and I've seen a number of them talking about the conundrum right now with home prices being so high and how hard it is for people to afford homes. and that a lot of them are actually recommending that people rent right now, and they themselves are actually renting and have no intention of buying a home anytime in the future. So it is really interesting to see how that kind of American dream has been changing as home prices have gone up, inflation's become more of an issue, and our incomes haven't necessarily gone up the same way. And so that's really fascinating as well, just to be able to kind of think about that. I mean, because it's sort of sad too, because home ownership used to be well within the reach of most people, and now it's far out of the reach of most people, at least here in the US and other places. And so I think that it's really important to be realistic about that too, because if you have a certain neighborhood you want to live in or area you want to live in, and there's no way you're going to be able to afford the home in that neighborhood, you might be able, for example, to afford a condo in that neighborhood or a townhouse, or renting a condo or a townhouse or an apartment complex that's nearby, or whatever is going to be best for your family situation. And so just kind of look around and think about your situation, your budget, and make sure you're also not, shopping for your dream home that's maybe 4, 5, 6 times your take-home pay annually, and get all excited about it and then have to deal with the realization that you're not going to be able to afford that because the bank will never extend you a loan for your dream home at the price it's at right now. And so that can be very frustrating. So it's just good to be practical and realistic about kind of where you are with your shopping experience. And then the third tip for you when you're just starting to save for your first home is to go ahead and open up what's called a high yield savings account. So you can shop around at different banks, see which ones are going to offer you the best rates, but it's a regular savings account, but it's going to offer you better interest than perhaps the bank you're with at the moment. And that only helps you because then as you are contributing your money into that savings account, you are going to be getting that interest building on top of it over the next couple of years. And why not take a little bit of extra interest while you can get it and have that work for you? And so that is a very good tool as well. And then you're looking to save somewhere between 15 to 20% of the price of the home for your down payment. So look at the home you're shopping for in that price point, and then factor in what's 15 to 20% of that. That's what you're going to need for your down payment. And 20% is not usually required unless you're buying a vacation home or a second home or something along those lines. But what it does is if you can get to 20%, you're not going to have to pay something called private mortgage insurance, which is something that lenders impose if you put down less than 20%. So that is just an extra fee on your mortgage payment every single month. And if you can just put 20% down, you don't have to deal with that at all. If you can't get to 20%, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. And there are certain types of loans, like if you're a military member, you have access to something called the VA loan. And that is going to give you the option to put very little down to be able to purchase your home. So you've got the VA loan to choose from as well. There's other loans that you can look into as well that don't necessarily require that much. But just kind of mentally plan on that 15 to 20% down on your home, and that's going to be a good place to go. The other thing too is even if you don't need all of it, let's say your mortgage lender only asked you to put 10% down, you've still got plenty of money to be able to pay your closing costs, because those can often run in the thousands of dollars as well. And so that way you don't have to fuss with closing costs being a stressor or worry how you're going to pay those. And so you're going to be absolutely fine when you get to closing, because you'll have plenty for the down payment, plenty for closing costs, and then maybe a little bit left over if you move into your home and suddenly need a new dishwasher, or the air conditioner goes out or something, and you haven't just completely cleaned out all your savings. And you always want to have your savings for your home separate from your emergency fund. So you want your emergency fund of anywhere from 3 to 6 months of living expenses totally separate from your 15 to 20% down that you're putting on your house. So I'm sure you're doing the math in your head and thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to take a while. And it does. It's just a matter of kind of planning ahead and thinking ahead to put that down, or doing some research and figuring out if there's a way that you can put less down on the house and get into it at a lower price point. But that is one of the challenges with homeownership these days, is that percentage down that mortgage lenders will require you to put down. And then with the home prices going up, it's just gotten exponentially more that you have to put down just to get into the homeownership game in the first place. And so if you have that 15 to 20% in your high yield savings account, when you're ready to then sit down and talk with your mortgage broker, you're all sorted and not going to have any big surprises there, because there's nothing worse than having the offer that you maybe put in on a home get turned down because you were having some trouble getting your mortgage all put through, or maybe didn't have quite enough money as much as what they wanted you to put down, and you lose a chance to buy a home you really loved just because of a financial hiccup there. So it's always good to kind of go into this and be super prepared as well. So this is an exciting time, and just as you're looking at buying your first home, just be realistic and think through kind of where you are, what kind of home you can afford in your area right now, or an area you're looking at relocating to, and just kind of do your homework that way and figure out if this is the right time for you to be buying, or if this is a better time to rent, because the housing market is famous for going through big ups and downs, as we've all seen over the past 10, 20, 30 years. And so while a home that you love might be out of your price range right now, it might be back in your price range in another 2 years, who knows. So it's just good to kind of keep that in mind as well. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. I'm always so happy to have you here, and please feel free to let me know in the comments which of these tips you found most helpful, or if you've got your own tips that you're using to save for your first home. And I would love to hear that as well. And I will see you again in my next video.